So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. And ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good day for another great day in Coos County. I want to welcome you all to our group session, another week of political therapy, and I think this week is going to be a real good political therapy session. We've got a great guest coming on, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later in the show. But I wanted to talk about something that many of you may have seen that's been going on around here in Coos County, and it's happening in Curry County, is that there are signs going up. Those signs say, or they read, that the Oregon legislature wants to take your guns. And please contact the OregonPushback.com website, and it'll give you information on what you can do to help us push back against the legislation that's coming out of Salem. Well, I've been going around putting up those signs. I've been giving out those signs for other people to put up. Most of them were 4x8s. We got about, I would say about 15, maybe a dozen or so of those out. And one of them, or two of them, I put up across from 7-Eleven. And it's right across from the Mexican restaurants, which that's a very good Mexican restaurant. I love their tacos over there. But right across the street from the Mexican restaurant and also across the street from 7-Eleven, there are those two signs for Oregon Pushback. And if you notice, one of those signs were vandalized. And I thought it was kind of ironic. People might think I'd get mad. That's usually my reputation, but it's something that really didn't upset me. I was surprised that it didn't happen sooner, because this is something that is a very controversial issue. But I find it absolutely incredible that people would vandalize your sign while simultaneously trying to disarm you. Now think about that. You're a property owner. You got people coming onto your property, because this is private property where this sign is, and they're vandalizing your sign, your property. And and what you're standing up for with your sign is to make sure that you can stay armed, that you can keep your weapons, so you can fend off people coming onto your property to vandalize your signs. What they did to us, or what they did to me specifically, is and they really didn't do it to me, they did it to my sign, is what they did is they sent a message, not to about guns. They sent a message to those of us who support the Second Amendment, because this has nothing to do about gun owners. And that message that they put on there, they wrote the words, and this is funny, they wrote the words, thoughts and prayers. Well, I got a thought for you. Did you realize that vandalism was a crime? And I'll tell you what, if I catch you, you better pray that someone else saves you, because I'm not going to tolerate that. I'm not someone who's a sheep who's going to allow this, people to take advantage of me. And if I was there, I would have stopped it. But I'm going to leave that sign up. Some people have already called me and contacted me about it and asked me if I was going to replace it. And I said, no, I'm going to leave it up so that you people out there can see what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who are telling you, oh, don't worry, we want to protect you, so much so that we want to disarm you. And after we disarm you, guess what? We're going to vandalize your property. Do you see what's happening? And don't take this, once again, against guns. This is against you. If you support the Second Amendment, the people who vandalized that sign were vandalizing your ideology that you believe you have a God-given right to defend yourself. How about that for thoughts and prayers? I pray to God that they don't ever take away our right to defend ourselves. That's the one thing that God gave us that we have to do on a daily basis. And people go, well, Rob, we live in a civilized society. It's so peaceful out here. Why would we need guns? Well, the reason we live in a civilized society is because we have guns and because we are armed. And those people out there, what would they do to you? Well, they would vandalize your sign. They'd vandalize your property because they don't give a damn about you. So I hope the people that vandalized that sign realize that they didn't really upset us, because I can replace that sign. It's not a big deal. But what you did is you sent a message to people like me to show us exactly what you really think of us. And you have no respect for us whatsoever. And that's a two-way street. If you people who are trying to disarm society has no respect for the people in that society, do you think we're going to respect you back? See, the road to respect is integrity. The way you get integrity is by acting like a civilized person, not by going around and being a vandal. And I'm personally offended by anyone who goes around graffitiing things because as a young man in one of my businesses that I used to work for, one of the first things we did every Monday morning was go out with a bucket of brown paint and paint over the signs, the graffiti signs that the gang members would leave behind. My favorite was when they had a very intricate painting graffitied on the building. I'd love to go out there with that brown paint because I knew that some young punk out there, it took them hours to paint that on the wall, and I just go over it in a roller for a few minutes. And I didn't have to hide and because it's my boss's building. Well, that's what we got here. So I hope you people, when you drive by down 101 and you're going past 7-Eleven, take a look at that sign that was vandalized. And I hope you realize that that's what they really think of you. And that's what they want to do to your property. And that's why they want to take away your guns. Because if you don't have weapons to defend yourself, well, then I guess they can vandalize anything. I guess they can go and rob your car. I guess they can kick in your door, rape your wife, kick your dog, because they are going to disarm you. And once again, they obviously have no respect for you or property rights. And I want you to think about that while you're driving around. And I hope you join us for the rest of the show because I've got the attorney from the Gun Owners Association coming on here. His name is Michael Hammond. And with that, we will be right back.
I'm Rich Waters for Jim Vick Auto Sales. For those of you that know me, you know that my family and I have dealt with Jim Vick for more years than we'd like to admit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've always known Jim as a look you in the eye and deal on a handshake kind of guy. You may have heard that Jim retired recently, but I'm here to set the record straight. Jim is still selling great-looking, clean, exclusive cars at his new location just down the street from his former location. He's now at 2091 Broadway, and he keeps a display of his best cars right there for you to see and drive. Let my friend Jim Vick put you in the right car on your budget. Jim Vick Auto Sales, now at 2091 Broadway in North Bend. Jim will work with you all the way to make sure you have the car and the deal you want. As Jim Vick himself would say, wait a minute. Here he is to say it himself.
Remember, if I can't save you money, I don't deserve your business.
Jim Vick Auto Sales.
Yeah, we've really got some exciting
The RV
news.
business is booming at the Boomin' Y, and Gibbs RV is looking for nice pre-owned RVs to consign or buy. Gibbs RV makes it so simple. They will come to your location, give you a fair appraisal, and help take care of all the paperwork. It doesn't get any easier than that. So let the professionals at Gibbs RV take the hassle out of selling or consigning your RV. Stop by and see them today at 1845 Ocean Boulevard in Coos Bay by the Big Boomin' Y in Empire, or check them out at GibbsRV.com.
Stop in today to the all-new one-stop gun shop, Hole in the Wall Gun Shop in Coos Bay. Your area leader in quality firearms. Hole in the Wall Gun Shop proudly features the top brands of new and used handguns, hunting rifles, black rifles, antique and collectible guns, ammo, mace, and more. Gun cleaning and repair, expert advice, and handgun safety classes for concealed carry permits are offered too. So stop into Hole in the Wall Gun Shop across from Cumion's on Highway 101 South in Coos Bay. We buy, sell, or trade.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
All right, Coos County, thank you for joining us again. I've got a special guest who's on the line, and he's from the Gun Owners of America. He's the attorney. He's their attorney, Michael Hammond. And let me give you a little background. Gun Owners of America is a constitutional rights organization which was founded in 1975. It has over 300,000 members, and its main goal is to defend the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Congressman Ron Paul has called the group the only no-compromise gun lobby in Washington. GOA believes that Americans are losing their gun rights, and they seek to reclaim these rights. And funny, proving this point, I love this quote, and this is a quote from Michael Hammond himself, where he was slamming the Trump administration's ban on bump stocks, which appeared in BuzzFeed, and he said, "We we believe he's gone. And when he says gone, he's talking about Trump. We believe he's gone from, in his own words, the Second Amendment's best friend to the gun grabber in chief. And that was concerning the GOA and the suit that they had brought against the Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the BIA. The ATF, they're suing them on the bump stock ban, and the ban is so poorly written that it threatens the legality of AR-15s and other constitutionally protected firearms. And with us right now is GOA's attorney, Michael Hammond. How you doing, Michael?
Hi, Rob. Hello, Oregon.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we're under siege right now. We're a state that's under siege by our own legislature, if you knew all the gun bills that are coming out of the Oregon legislature right now.
Yeah, I understand that Oregon is getting really problematic at this point. I mean, fortunately, there is the Second Amendment sanctuary movement, and apparently Oregon has both feet in the middle of that right now. So, but it is certainly a problem in a number of states that you have a liberal population moving in to a very small portion of the state, which all of a sudden they're fleeing California or Mexico or someplace else. And the first thing they want to do when they arrive in Portland is to turn Oregon into the same sort of cesspool that they just fled.
Right.
So
right. And it's the thing is here is I almost have a feeling that part of the reason that our legislature, which is 2/3 Democrats, the reason that they're passing many of these laws is that they would like to rid the state of many conservative gun owners. Maybe it's just me, but I think there's a conspiracy that they would actually like to get rid of us.
Oh, I think I agree. I think that there is a tendency among Democrat politicians to want to enact legislation which makes it impossible for Republicans to ever win elections again. I mean, you saw this with the GOP Destruction Act of 2019, H.R. 1, that the Democrats just passed in the House. But I was with the U.S. Senate for about 20 years, and every year the Democrats would introduce something to literally destroy the Republican Party, and every year I would put a hold on it and would succeed in killing it. But to give you an example, the Democrats have currently taken a congressional seat in North Carolina in which the Republican candidate won and essentially robbed him of the seat, taken the seat away from him, supposedly because someone working for him was engaging in what's called ballot harvesting, a process of going around and collecting ballots. Well, guess what? There are 4 congressional seats in California, which are now in the hands of Democrats rather than Republicans, because ballot harvesting was made lawful in California and was encouraged in California. So if it's fraudulent in North Carolina, for the purpose of stealing a seat the Republican won, why isn't it fraudulent in California where 4 Democrats stole seats using that practice?
Oh, absolutely, and that's a good question. And why aren't they being held up to those standards? And we both know the answer is that because California is a democratically held state, and they're not going to prosecute or fight against that. And
incidentally, it wasn't always a Democratic state. I worked in around the 1980 to 1984 for the United States Senator from California, a conservative Republican, and it wasn't always liberal and Democrat, but it became liberal and Democrat when Ronald Reagan signed the Simpson-Mazzoli Act, which took 3 million illegals and essentially put them on the path to citizenship in California. And what we ended up with is now a state in which Republicans, more often than not, aren't even in the top 2 who are on the ballot in the general election.
Well, you got to get all those undocumented Democratic voters across the border, to keep building the party. I want to go to something here that I know you guys are right in the forefront of, and it was kind of upsetting to many of us who are Trump supporters that the president did this bump stock ban, and the way that he did it was through executive order. Can you maybe address the problem with him just the way he did it?
Well, there are at least three problems that we sued him on. The first problem is that the executive order is just fundamentally illegal. It's contrary to the statute. And the statute, not that anyone cares, is contained in 26 U.S.C. 5845B. It defines what a machine gun is. It defines what an automatic rifle is. And basically what it says is a machine gun, by statutory definition, is a gun that fires more than one round with single function of a trigger. Well, a bump stock makes a gun fire faster, but the trigger has to function and reset every time a bullet is basically fired from the chamber. So nothing could be clearer than that a bump stock, a piece of plastic, is not a machine gun, and furthermore, bump firing is not machine gun firing under the statutes. And incidentally, you can't repeal a statute by regulation. I mean, maybe in Venezuela you can,
right,
but you certainly can't in any country that purports to be either a republic or a democracy. So that's the first problem. It's just fundamentally illegal. It just says we're going to throw out the law because we want to achieve a different result. And if, in fact, you begin going down that route, then we're no longer government of laws. We're a government of men. The second problem with the bump stock regulation is, and BATF basically conceded this in its rulemaking, it said the bump stock, the piece of plastic, is a machine gun because it causes an AR-15 to fire automatically. Well, hold on a second. If an AR-15 fires automatically, the AR-15 is also a machine gun.
Right.
And the section I just cited defines a machine gun to be any gun which can be, quote, readily restored to fire automatically. So if that's what automatic firing is, guess what? The AR-15 is a machine gun as well. All AR-15s are illegal under the Hughes Amendment, and guess what? You don't have to wait for some future regulation or interpretation. This regulation makes them illegal, and all we're waiting for is for someone in the presidency to say, yeah, okay, they're already illegal, so I'm going to enforce that. So that was the second problem with the bump stock regulation. The third problem is, of course, one of the Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment says you can't take property without just compensation. And for 10 years now, BATF has been saying, oh, yeah, you can own a bump stock. They're legal, they're legal, they're legal, they're legal. Now all of a sudden they're illegal, and in 3 months you're going to be a felon if you have one. And incidentally, we're going to require you to come down to our BATF headquarters and turn them in. We're not going to pay you a penny for them, and we're going to ask you and perhaps try to force you to sign a form saying you waive all of your constitutional rights. Well, what's wrong? There are a whole bunch of problems with this, but certainly the most notable is you can't take legal property away from someone without paying them just compensation.
And everything that you just said were, when I saw him doing this was the exact concerns that I had. But what really is alarming to me is that say he wins 2020, that's great. But in 2024, we're going to have a president, probably, one of the nuts on the left, Kamala Harris. And then we're going to have her justifying going after guns under this same guise that we're going to be doing a a presidential mandate to basically eliminate the Second Amendment for whatever reason or whatever excuse she has. Do you see this setting that type of precedence?
Well, she's not going to have to do anything in order to ban all semi-automatics and force them to be turned in immediately. I mean, this reg does it. AR-15s are illegal today under this regulation. All that has to happen is for someone to say, I declare them to be illegal, and you have to turn them in. So, yeah, I certainly see, if this regulation isn't successfully challenged, that if there is a Democrat in the White House in 2021 or 2025, I see the first thing that's going to happen is that all AR-15s are going to become immediately illegal. You're going to be required to turn them in without compensation. You're going to be asked and perhaps required to sign a form saying, I waive all my constitutional rights. And incidentally, if you're thinking of a boating accident with your bump stock, you can do that. I wouldn't bet that BATF isn't going to get the customer records of the bump stock company, and when it does, it's going to come to you and say, well, we see you bought a bump stock. Where is it? Prove that you lost it.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
So the old I was on a canoe trip and it fell in the river excuse just will not work with this one, huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't bet a whole lot of money on that. I know a lot of people who are saying that they anticipate boating accidents, but I wouldn't bet a whole lot of money that that's going to work. And it's always best to fight these things rather than count on the proposition that the legislators or the executive will enact them, and you'll be able to get around them.
I've got a question for you. Where are we now in this process of the trial? What point are we? Where is your organization at now?
Well, on Wednesday in Kalamazoo, there was a hearing on whether or not to grant a preliminary injunction. What that would do is that would say to bump stock owners, well, okay, you can keep your bump stocks for the time being for the pendency of this litigation until we see whether the courts hold that they're legal or illegal. We expect the order to come down within the next couple of days telling us whether they're going to grant that preliminary injunction.
That's good news, and like I said, I hope you're very successful for the three reasons you mentioned, and for possible future presidents who try to go even further than what Trump has. Michael, do you have a few minutes? We're going to go to a commercial, and when we get right back, I have a few more questions for you.
Okay, absolutely.
All right, and with that, we'll be right back.
Before you choose your adventure, make sure your 4x4 is modified and ready to reach uncharted areas. Leave your cares behind and all the work to the experts at Tom & Giggs Automotive. From diesel power to towing access, the Bay Area's top 4x4 performance headquarters will help you get ready for wheeling and down the trail. Pick up all the necessities and the I've got to have it's on the showroom floor. Get your rig adventure ready the right way with Tom & Giggs Automotive, your 4x4 performance headquarters, one block past the Boom Y in Empire, and online TomandGiggs.com.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Think you can't manage the down payment it takes to purchase a new home? Think again. You could move into a $150,000 home with as little as $1,500 down with our 1% down payment option. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.19%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.25%, APR 3.75%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
Your brain is an amazing thing, but as you get older, it naturally begins to change, causing a lack of sharpness or even trouble with recall. Thankfully, the breakthrough in Prevagen helps your brain and actually improves memory. The secret is an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember. Now available in stores everywhere. Statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
All right, so I have insomnia, but I've never slept better. And what's changed? Just a pillow. It's had such a positive impact on my life. And, of course, I'm talking about MyPillow. I fall asleep faster, I stay asleep longer, and now you can, too. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-919-6090. Use the promo code Hannity, and Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, has the special 4-pack. Now, you get 40% off 2 MyPillow Premiums and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Now, MyPillow is made here in the USA, has a 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee, and a 10-year warranty. Go to MyPillow.com right now or call 800-919-6090, promo code Hannity, to get Mike Lindell's special 4-pack offer. You get 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows for 40% off. And that means once those pillows arrive, you start getting the kind of peaceful and restful and comfortable and deep healing and recuperative sleep that you've been craving and you certainly deserve. MyPillow.com, promo code Hannity. You will love this pillow.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me. And right now we have Michael Hammond, who is the attorney for Gun Owners of America. And they have a lawsuit against the president's mandate against bump stocks. That was something we were just talking about before the commercial. But I want to kind of change directions because I know Michael had mentioned this when he first came on, and that is that Oregon was one of the states that was leading the way with the Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance. And we started out with a little bit of a different type of ordinance, which was called the Second Amendment Preservation Ordinance, and that was the 10 that was on the ballot this last November. 8 of those passed the ballot in those 8 counties, and they are now in effect. And we're going to go back and change that ordinance and replace it with the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, because in the original Preservation Ordinance, it has the sheriff making the determination on what is and what is not a violation of your Second Amendment rights. And so we wanted to eliminate the sheriff's position as far as the determining factor. And in the new law, which was we worked with the 10th Amendment Center to get drafted, just gave a directive to the county not to enforce any state or federal firearm laws. And so we thought that was a much better law. The lawyers thought it was a much better law. And so we are getting ready to take that all over the state in this next election, and it'll probably be these will be on the ballot in the general election in 2020. And we hope to get at least 20 to 28 counties to put this on the ballot. And we've been working very hard on this. Now, Michael, I know you've been working on a Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance for New York State, in fact, aren't you?
Yes, I have. I've taken, actually, your sanctuary ordinance as the basis of it and adapted it to something which can be used by counties in upstate New York. I've changed it in a few ways. The sheriff wouldn't be the arbiter in my language. Each individual official would make his own determination as to what was constitutional. Secondly, I basically made it a resolution that the county would be a sanctuary county from the New York State's repressive laws. I don't think the National Firearms Act is constitutional. On the other hand, if I drafted the ordinance or the resolution in such a way that it took on the National Firearms Act, I think I would probably get a lot less support in upstate New York. So it is they're sanctuaries from New York's unconstitutional repressive laws to the extent they exceed the federal mandates. And the third thing is I deleted the language which was in your draft, which would have explicitly said, oh, you can go all around this by just getting a court order. We'll see how that works out. But if you invite the state attorney general to go in and get a court order and turn your entire sanctuary county into a pumpkin, then I think that's literally inviting the state to flick its nose at you.
And that was something, when I was reading the rewriting of your ordinance, that was something that I did notice, and I was going to go back to my attorney and ask him why that was put into our ordinance, and I'm sure I'll get a reason from him, but you're right.
Well, there's a rationale for it, but and New York counties can do, obviously, whatever they want. There's one thing I've learned from 44 years in this business, it's that you can give a draft or give advice to an office holder, but in the end, it's the office holder who was elected to make the decision. So they can make any decision they want, but my feeling was that if you invite the Attorney General to go to a court and simply get it to throw out your ordinance, then I think that's making it too easy on them.
And like you said, we don't know where this is going to go, and that may happen. And that's the fun thing about this, is that we're kind of treading in new territory here, and it's happening, like you said, in New Mexico, Colorado, Iowa, and several other states. And one of the things that's a little
I can tell you, in New Mexico. 30 of 33 sheriffs have signed a letter basically resisting New Mexico's laws. They're thinking of enacting two new things. One is the universal background check, and one are these red flag gun confiscation orders. And if you want me to talk about them, I can. But 30 of 33 sheriffs in New Mexico have said we're not going to enforce this. In Illinois, Illinois of all places, 60 of 102 counties have passed resolutions through some mechanism declaring themselves sanctuary counties. In Washington, slightly over half of the counties have in some way designated themselves as sanctuary counties. So, I mean, it's spreading like wildfire around the West, and certainly one of the tinder boxes are these gun confiscation red flag orders, which are being sold as basically being innocuous, but ultimately, I mean, they're the answer to the question: what would Hitler do?
Right, and I want to address that in a minute, but I do have one more question about the Second Amendment sanctuary thing. And maybe if you could, we specifically went out of our way to write this as an ordinance because most of the counties have resolutions. And in Washington, they were passing proclamations instead of an ordinance. Can you tell us what the difference is between a proclamation, a resolution, and an ordinance?
Well, there may or may not be a big difference. An ordinance definitely has force of law. A resolution may be, in some jurisdictions, the way that a county enacts something which has the force of as it is in the United States Senate, nothing but a puff of cloud. The difference between an ordinance and a resolution may be great and maybe not so great, depending on what the law of a particular state provides.
That was an interesting answer, and I thank you for it because a lot of times we have many different discussions on that, and that was something I was trying to get across to a lot of people is that there are differences in the states how much force a resolution has compared to an ordinance.
Well, it depends. I mean, even the United States Senate, where I worked for 2 decades, it depends. And I can give you an example, which is not exactly on point, but I drafted a resolution for Senator Steve Sims of Idaho, your neighboring state, in which was a sense of the Senate. It was completely non-binding, but it said that the Reagan administration should not do what it was thinking of doing and pull its support out of Afghanistan, its support for the Mujahideen, who at that time were battling the Soviet Union. And I was at the time chided for doing a non-binding resolution, and my answer is, if necessary, I'll step it up to have more and more force of law. But in fact, in the next 2 weeks, it completely turned the State Department around. The overwhelming vote on behalf of something which was theoretically non-binding, nevertheless had a sufficient force, so it completely made our policy toward the Soviet Union in Afghanistan turn a 180.
Wow, I could sit there, and I have got a lot more questions that have absolutely nothing to do with firearms now for you, but not enough time in this show. But what year was that, Michael?
That was Steve Sims was elected, in about 1981. So 81? I think it was probably the early 1980s when the Reagan administration had initiated support for the Mujahideen, but was becoming wary of involvement in that country. This is in the early 80s, and was about to withdraw its support. So
how funny how things just come around, and again, because that was a lot of that was led up to what we were dealing with now today. Some of that was the precursors to this. So that's incredible.
If you live to be old enough. There aren't a whole lot of advantages to being very, very old, but one of it is you see everything come around again. There really is nothing new under the sun.
That's true. I get reminded by my grandmother quite often. Hey, Michael, I want to talk more about the red flag laws. Do you have time? We've got a giveaway and another commercial, and then we can be right back if that's all right.
Okay, sure.
All right. Well, anyone who listens to the show knows we have a giveaway for each hour. In this hour, we have a giveaway for the happiest place on the planet, and that's McDonald's. There are 4 of them here in our community that you can enjoy. There's one over at Walmart, which is great because Dad can take the kids over there while Mom's trying to shop and doesn't have to pressure her, with all the stuff that she's getting. So that's a good one over at Walmart. They've got a McDonald's over in Reedsport. They got a McDonald's in North Bend and one in downtown Coos Bay. If you would like to win this package, it's 1 free small McCafe beverage of your choice, 1 free dessert of your choice, and 1 free breakfast sandwich. And with that, you'll get a buy one, get one free sheet of several different meals. And if you're the third caller at 541-267-2124, you can win this package. And with that, we'll be right back.
Looking for a new or used firearm? You should get to know the friendly folks at World Pawn Exchange. Located at 1980 Sherman in downtown North Bend, World Pawn Exchange buys, sells, and trades firearms of all types. And with their extensive, ever-changing inventory, they could have just the right firearm for you. If they don't have that gun that you want in stock, they'll be more than happy to special order it for you. World Pawn Exchange in downtown North Bend, where you'll find more than you can possibly imagine.
Well, I was driving across town when my car got down, started lurching and trying to die. Well, luckily there was a shop, and when it struggled to a stop, a nice fella met me right outside. I said, "Man, something's wrong. What the heck is going on?" He said, "I tell you this, I got no doubt. You just relax and don't you worry. We can fix it in a hurry, 'cause your car is what we're all about. We do it all."
Bayshore Auto and RV Repair, your one-stop shop for all your automotive and RV mechanical repairs. Stop by and see Jeff and his friendly staff on Bayshore Drive in Coos Bay.
There's no reason to guess. The verdict is in, and the solid winner continues to be Herbal Choices.
I think everyone knows why Herbal Choices is the leader.
You and I see Herbal Choices the same way, like a part of our family. They know me when I come in, and they're always happy to show me all that's new, including Jim Belushi's new harvest.
Hi, Jim Belushi here. My Belushi Farms private vault is exclusively here, Southern Oregon coast at Herbal Choices. Check it out. It's the only choice.
And no matter where you are, Herbal Choices is close by. Coos Bay, Charleston, and Bandon. They always keep me updated on their website at www.theherbalchoices.com.
No one can compete with Herbal Choices prices. They now have so many locations that they buy large quantities and pass the savings along to their customers. It's their people, friendly, always ready to help with knowledgeable answers. It's like dealing with family.
Do not operate a vehicle under the influence of marijuana. For use by people 21 21 and older, keep out of the reach of children.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I want to congratulate Todd out there. I guess he took some time from writing letters, slamming me in the newspaper to call in and win an award. So I want to congratulate you, Todd. And like I said, I get attacked by a lot of people in the newspaper. I don't hold grudges. I don't care. I think Todd has every absolutely right to his point of view, and I'm glad he listens to the show, called in, and won a prize. Anyone is more than welcome to do that on my program. We're talking to attorney Michael Hammond, who is the attorney for Gun Owners of America. And one of the things we're going to talk about is the red flag laws that are going on all across the country. In fact, one has been introduced in the Senate, I believe. And we in Oregon have probably one of the worst red flag laws. It not only violates your Second Amendment right, I believe it violates the 4th, the 5th, the 14th, and I'll let Michael talk about it. Michael, when I saw this happen, these red flag laws, I thought this is one of the worst type of laws out there, but yet a lot of people liked it because it was directly a way to what they think was get crazy people off the street. Can you address some of this?
Well, in my opinion, they're probably the nastiest tool in Michael Bloomberg's arsenal. They're potentially the most repressive, most fascist, most unconstitutional form of gun control. And what they are is normally by telephone, either the police or an angry ex can go into a court and they don't even have to go into a court. They can make a telephone call to a judge and say, I think this guy is dangerous, and they file some papers by fax. And at that point, the judge, if he says, if he grants their petition, and the judge always does,
right,
will strip you of your Second, Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendment rights without you knowing about it. I mean, it's
right,
a telephone call between your accuser and a judge. And guess what? When the accuser is the only one in the room, the judge will sign a ham sandwich. I can give you an example, which is analogous to this, in New Mexico, in which in an ex parte proceeding like this, a New Mexican housewife was able to get a restraining order against David Letterman for supposedly sending her coded messages over her television set. So a judge will sign any order that's put in front of him under these circumstances, and you, without any notification whatsoever or any ability to be heard, all of a sudden have police arrive at your house in the middle of the night. And I'm talking literally a SWAT team in the middle of the night, ready to ransack your house, and if you object to that, to arrest or even shoot you. Now, if you think this is melodramatic, there's a case in Maryland, which is already issuing thousands of these things after just less than a year of operation. A man named Gary Willis in Ferndale, Maryland, he received a knock on his door at 5:17 a.m. in the morning. He came to his door, not surprisingly, with a gun. I probably would, too.
Right.
Opened the door. It was the police, and basically shortly thereafter, they shot him to death. He's a 60-year-old man, described by his neighbors as a gentleman, and it turned out the reason the police were serving a red flag order is that his, I think, aunt and uncle didn't like his politics, and as a result had called the judge in order to retaliate against him for his conservative views.
Michael, that is the exact worry many of us gun owners have, is that we've got people out there because I'm so outspoken. There are people out there who literally attack me all the time out there in the paper in public. What is preventing them from secretly calling the police and saying Rob's a danger, he's a danger to himself and to other people, and you should take away their guns? What stops people?
Nothing is preventing them at all.
And now you folks see why this is what you said, Hitler's dream law.
Yeah. If you've watched films about what life was like in Nazi Germany, this is basically it. Secret court, and it doesn't even have to be a court. It can be a telephone call. A knock on the door in the middle of the night, and when you answer the door with your gun, you get shot to death. So it's the answer to the question, what would Hitler do under these circumstances? And they're being sold in many places as non-controversial bipartisan legislation. Now, we've done a pretty good job. There's the first 5 states, which included Oregon, that passed them over our objection. But since Parkland, I think 10 or 11 states have passed them, but another 34 to 35 states, we've defeated them. And the only states that pass them are those states, with the exception of Florida, are those states which are the bluest, most anti-gun states in the country. So guess what? New York has just become more fascist than it was yesterday, but I guess that's no surprise to anyone who wants to move to New York.
Right.
Thus far, with the exception of Florida, we've kept these things from passing in red state America, but that fight is now on because the media is contributing to this narrative. This is the bipartisan bill that you can pass without being in favor of gun control. But in fact, of course, it's the nastiest form of gun control because you're stripped of your Second, Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendment rights with no due process whatsoever.
So do you think that these are going to go to the courts, and are you going to be involved?
We would like to bring a court action against them. We're not talking a lot about that right now because it's better if you defeat them legislatively. I mean, if we had allowed all 50 states to pass these things and then said we're going to sue, I mean, at that point, the fate of the Second Amendment rests in the hands of a judge who may have been appointed by Donald Trump or may have been appointed by Barack Obama.
Right.
So at this point, we're trying to stop them legislatively, and we've killed them in 35 of the 45 states that didn't have them prior to Parkland. So we've done a reasonably good job of dissipating this notion that somehow these are non-controversial bipartisan bills. And at this point, they're holding a hearing on March the 26th in the Republican United States Senate to decide whether they should pass a national one. And so we have that fight ahead of us.
Oh, geez. And like you said, here in Oregon, we pretty much have very little hope of ever doing anything on a legislative level or even through the initiative process. I don't think the voters here would even defeat a red flag bill because they have been so integrated into this idea that guns are dangerous, guns are bad, and people who own guns are bad. And this is something that we're seeing them teach us to our kids in school.
Well, let me hold out a little hope for you.
Okay.
Currently, we're participating in litigation to challenge New York City's gun residence permit laws. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear our appeal. And so that may mean that we now have 5 pro-gun members of the Supreme Court. And if we do, then in the future we'll be able to do something which we haven't been able to do in the last 10 years and begin challenging these repressive gun laws with some hope that we can prevail at the Supreme Court level.
Let me ask you, I know it's probably going to be tough, but do you think we'd ever have a national constitutional carry law where we could just all carry concealed without having a permit?
Well, we came within a vote or two during the 115th Congress in the last 2 years. I think the key, if we're going to ever, I don't think we'll have one in the next 2 years because of Nancy Pelosi.
Right.
The key, if we're ever going to have a national reciprocity law, is to, first of all, return control of the House to the Republicans, and secondly, ensure that Donald Trump is reelected. And I say that with mixed feelings because he's not great on guns, but he'd be a whole lot better than any alternative. And so if and turning the House back is not going to be as difficult as you might think. I did an article entitled 54,543. And that number is the number of votes which, had they flipped from Democrat to Republican, would have left the U.S. House of Representatives in Republican hands. I mean, a flip of about 55,000 votes, and Republicans would, in 18 districts, and Republicans would control the House.
Right.
And so it's narrowly balanced right now on a fulcrum. It wouldn't take much of a shift of national mood or much of a shift of our willingness to go out and pound the pavement prior to elections in order to turn the House back. And if we did that, yes, reciprocity again would become doable.
And you know, the thing is that they're really the radicals in the Democratic Party are really tearing up the party. The socialists now, what they call them, self-democratic socialists. They're socialists no matter what you call them. I see that tearing
National Socialist.
National Socialist. There you go.
Yeah, there's their platform. Let's have knocks on your door in the middle of the night to shoot you. That's pretty much a National Socialist platform. So,
well,
yeah.
Michael, I thank you for coming on. If you hear the music, can you tell us how we can get in contact with you? And I want to thank you for coming on. I just want to give you the last word.
Thank you. Contact us at gunowners.org. That is gunowners, GUNOWNERS.org.
Thank you for coming on, Michael. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll be right back.
It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. Thank you for joining us. Man, what a good first hour we had. That was a lot of information coming out of Michael. Hopefully he'll be back again to discuss this with us. When we go through the red flag, and I know it will, when it goes through the court system, and when we have the bump stocks go through the court system, when that's all played out, we'll have Mike Hammond back on to tell us, well, what the next adventure is going to be. Because, we're always going to need guys like him, and it's nice to have an attorney who actually still believes in the Constitution. I mean, we just had one on last week, Chris Ann Hall. And it's funny, there's a lot of people out there who always make fun of attorneys. They call them ambulance chasers or want to use some type of derogatory term. And I can completely understand it. Anyone who watches TV today, there's a lot of slime balls out there. But you can't judge a group by the individuals that make up that group, because you should judge the individuals on their own merit. And so that's why I'm glad I'm having some of these constitutional attorneys on here like Michael Hammond and Chris Ann Hall, and we'll have more of them on here because they give a story that is presented with an educational viewpoint, a very educational viewpoint and experience. If you just heard Michael Hammond, he worked with back in the Reagan administration. In 1981, he was working with a senator who was working with the Reagan administration. That's pretty damn impressive if you think about how many years ago that was and how far we've come and how many wars we fought in between then and there. One of the reasons I do this show is because I wanted to have activists on who are out there actually doing something. And my next guest, he's a definite activist. He's someone who never was an activist before until, they started trying to take away our Second Amendment rights. And I always tell people, no one ever taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, it's your turn to be an activist. No, you have to do this yourself. It's a self-engaging, self-initiative type of thing. And a lot of people aren't lucky like we are here in Coos County. Here in Coos County, anytime I've ever done anything about the Second Amendment, I had a lot of support behind us. And there's a lot of counties out there who, even though they have a lot of supporters, there are people out there who are opposed to the Second Amendment and people being armed, kind of like the people who graffitied my sign. And so it was nice that this gentleman that I'm getting ready to introduce you to was able to, in his county, which is Deschutes County, was able to start getting the signatures for the Second Amendment Preservation Ordinance. And now we're working with his county, and we didn't have a lot of success. And that's kind of why I wanted to have him on here so that we can talk about it and where he's going to go from where he's at now. And Jerrad, are you on the phone?
Yes, sir, I am.
How are you doing today?
I'm not too bad. Just got off work and picked up a few more signatures, and here I am with you.
How much more time do you have left on that petition? Do you know?
Yes, March of 2020, so I really have a year left, but I'm always, pushing for the next ballot. So
yeah, and definitely I would be too. Well, I heard that you just went to your commissioners. I know you just went to your commissioners. I read the article that was posted in your local paper. Can you tell us how you got about to going to that meeting and basically how it played out?
Well, I've been working with the Second Amendment Preservation Ordinance, and there's a few things that, that we didn't like about it with the mixing the executive branch and the legislative branch up.
Right.
So I decided, email the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance to the county commissioners over here, and I didn't really get a response, so I decided to just show up at one of their meetings. So I went down there, and I proposed it to them, and things sounded really great. They were all about it, it sounded like, and one of the commissioners was even saying, yes, I agree with you, and we should let the state know that our rights should not be infringed on. So I was super excited about it. And the goal was, when I showed up there, was to just get them to read it over. They told me they were going to let their legal counsel go over it to make sure everything was good about it, and they'd get back to me within the week. So the next week, I went in, and normally when you go into the commissioners' meetings, you might see maybe 10, 15 people in there. This meeting, the room was packed. So walking in, just by looking at the crowd, I knew that it was against me.
Oh, boy.
So I sat down, the first thing they brought up was the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, and they let people speak their mind, and I don't know, there's probably 20, 25 people that got up and spoke against it. And, I mean, it was kind of bad, honestly. These strangers I don't even know, and they're just calling me names. They have no idea who I even am.
Welcome to my world.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Welcome to my world. I get that quite often myself, so yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to it too. I've been doing this kind of stuff for like 4 years now, and honestly, I let it roll off. It doesn't bother me too bad.
Right.
But some of the stuff they were saying, was just completely false, and I didn't like that. But my point there was to just, on this meeting, was to just get it on the agenda, ask for a meeting to be placed on the agenda to discuss publicly about the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. But through the 25 or whatever people it was, I really, really wanted to defend myself, but that's not what I was there for.
Right.
And I get 3 minutes, you know. So these guys got over an hour of straight bashing me because I'm defending their rights. And that's what kind of blows my mind, is I'm out here doing this for everybody. It's not for me. I'm not trying to do it for publicity, or that's another thing that I got accused of. He's doing this for publicity. I don't care about that. I love my freedom.
Right.
And so I asked to be placed on the agenda, and they said they would get back to me within a week. A couple weeks went by, and I hadn't heard anything. And then I received a phone call probably 2 weeks later, from Commissioner DeBone, and he just told me, this is how it's going to be. We're not going to discuss this in a public meeting. So that was really disappointing because when a community member steps up and is worried about certain things like this, they should take the initiative to listen to what we have to say and listen to the public's input as well. And they got to listen to the public's input from the other side, but not our side.
In
so
fact,
I kind of felt...
In fact, you probably had more time right now on this radio show to discuss this issue than you ever had in front of the commissioners, I'm willing to bet.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's quite upsetting, you know, especially when one of our newly elected commissioners, before she was even elected, we had a Second Amendment rally here in Redmond, Oregon, and I showed up down there, and that was in the process of me doing the filing for the Second Amendment Preservation Ordinance, so I was still waiting to see if it was to check the constitutionality of it, all that stuff. So I wasn't able to collect signatures at the moment.
Right.
But the commissioner, or the lady that was running for commissioner at the moment, she actually came to the rally, and we bumped into each other, and she's like, "Hey, I've been looking for you. I would really like to sign your petition." I was like, "Well, not time for that yet. Hopefully it'll happen within the next few days." And we spoke a little bit, you know, and I said, are you going to help me with this kind of stuff? And she's like, absolutely. You know, I stand firmly on the Second Amendment and this and that. And now they don't even want to discuss it.
Right.
It's frustrating, you know. I mean, just her speaking to me and showing up at the rally, I thought she was a little more on our side. And I was really excited. My vote went to her, you know.
Right.
I voted for every commissioner that's on our board right now.
Are they all three Republicans?
Yes, sir, they are.
Amazing how three Republicans who ran on a Second Amendment stance all of a sudden lost their backbone as soon as they were presented with a little bit of public outcry.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, I've had nothing but problems with the Deschutes County Republicans over here. During fair time, we were collecting signatures, and I called them and asked if I could place my petition at their booth. And they're like, absolutely. So I came down there the first day of the fair. I went down there, explained everything to them. We had a person lined up that was going to be watching the petition, and it was good to go. A couple of days later, I got a call from a buddy of mine that just happened to be going by the Republican booth. And I don't know who the person was that was running the booth at the moment, but someone that was at the booth was telling people not to sign it and was actually taking the petition out of their hand.
Oh, wow. And this is at the Republican booth at the fair. Wow.
So my friend was like, hey, this is what's going on. So I went down there immediately. I was like, what's going on? Where's the petition? They're like, what petition are you talking about? So I told them, and it's not on the table. Couldn't find it anywhere. So I started searching. I was like, hey, it's important that we find this. Can I search your boxes? So I start searching in their boxes behind their counter. It's about 3 boxes down, buried in stuff.
Right.
I mean, I believe it was hidden on purpose.
Oh, yeah, it had to be. I've ran those booths before, and nothing by accident gets put into the 3rd box down on the bottom of the box. That's not an accident.
Yeah. So I was really disappointed because I was really expecting to get 1,000, over 1,000 signatures at least. Deschutes County Fair is one of the biggest fairs around, you know. I got 6 signatures from the Deschutes County Fair Republican booth.
You know, the thing is, and not all Republican chapters for the counties are equal. Our Republicans here, not only did they have the petition, but they were actively promoting it. So I have to give them kudos. But we have had problems with county chapter, Republican chapters elsewhere. And this was probably before the state party passed that resolution in support of what we were doing. Was that true? I don't know if you knew about this.
I'm not exactly sure on the timeline of when they did that. I know that it was the end of July is when the Deschutes County Fair is.
Right, and so we didn't actually get the resolution from the state party until about August, September, and the reason being is that they didn't want to give that to us until late in the year, and the only reason they gave that to us was that they were trying to get our support for their governor candidate, Bueller, and they were especially trying to get Oregon Firearm Federation to come out in favor of Bueller, and Kevin Starrett, as he should, he held his ground and kept the F rating for Bueller, and, some of us didn't support him, which if the Republicans aren't going to run pro-gun candidates, well, that's just the way it's going to go. So I appreciate you telling these stories, but right now you have a Second Amendment preservation ordinance that you're going around getting signatures for, and that's the reason you went to the county commissioners. What are you going to do? Are you going to continue with that petition, or do you want to start the new one with the new ordinance? What are your plans at this point?
Well, my plan is I am so close to having the number with the preservation ordinance that I'm just going to continue with this and not try to even swamp myself even more with the other one. So I figure if we can get this one on the ballot, then maybe it'll be a little bit easier to move the next one.
I think you're absolutely right.
I'm hopeful, at least.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you stick on the course that you have, and then when you come back with the second one, you can explain to the voters exactly what we're explaining to the voters here in Coos County, that it's just a better law, and that one doesn't really conflict with the other because they're both giving the same type of directive. It's just one gives the directive to the county government, where the other one allows the sheriff to make the decision on constitutionality. So they won't be contradictory to each other. In fact, they kind of complement each other. And the fact that if you go through the process of getting both in law, that you'll have both of those laws in protection of your Second Amendment. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I mean, I'm busy constantly.
Yeah.
I don't really have much help in the area. It's kind of me doing it. I have had a few people step up in the last month and a half. So there's probably a handful of people, maybe 5 or 10 out there running around collecting signatures as well. But I've pretty much done this myself for the most part, and I'm close. I probably have a little over 3,000 signatures, and we're looking at 4,144 is what they need. But my goal is to turn in 5, 6, 7,000, as many as I can get. It'd be awesome because I know that they're going to cross off a bunch of stuff.
Yes, they are, and you can look at about 30 to 35% of those signatures probably getting kiboshed for one reason or another. So you at least have that much of a buffer, and that's unfortunate, but that's just the way you have to run.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I'm pretty strict when I got someone signing there. I'm like, make sure your name is legible. Make sure your address is legible. Are you a registered voter? And There's actually been many people that I just register on the spot right then so they can sign immediately.
I've got news for you. You're supposed to have those turned in. They have to be registered before they can sign.
Yeah, that's why I do it before they sign.
Okay.
So I do it online, so it's instant.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's the way we were doing it. We were registering them online, and then you can have them sign the petition. Exactly. That's exactly how you get that done.
I don't do the paper slip at all.
So let me ask you, after all this trouble, you got a bunch of people at the county commissioners meeting. They call you all kinds of horrible names, and you've gone through all this trouble, and you found out the Republicans, or some of them are kind of, they're losers. And so you've been kind of, jaded by the whole process, but yet it's still something you sound like you're glad that you did. Do you have any regrets?
No, absolutely not. I'll do it over and over, and I'm still not going to stop. I'm going to continue. I mean, these are my rights. They're your rights. They're all of our rights.
Right.
I'm not going to let these guys get away with this stuff, and I don't want to have to get to the point of me telling them, sorry, I'm not going to comply. Why don't we just go ahead and leave us alone for a while? Because I'm not going to comply if they pass these ridiculous laws that we got coming in right now. I mean, it's mind-blowing, and I try to run facts and statistics by these people, and they still just don't understand it. I mean, it's mind-blowing how a handful of people in Bend, it's turning into a liberal city over there.
Right.
But these guys can, convince so many people that this is the wrong thing. I mean, I don't understand these people that are willing to give their rights away.
Oh, well, and we got a whole generation out there who has been taught by very leftist teachers that the Constitution is bad, that we're a country is built on genocide and theft, and so they can't get us to change fundamentally until they actually get a generation to hate themselves so much that they're willing to try anything, and this is, of course, socialism, communism, or another form of collectivism. And so I believe that they cannot impose their socialist utopia until they disarm us, and that's one of the things I think is going on. I got a question for you. Now that you're at the point where you're getting these signatures, how are you? Basically, how much further do you want to go with this? I mean, this is something that you just.
I'm going to go, until we get this on the ballot, and then obviously the people get a vote on it, and with the people vote, I can't really fight that. But then, here I'll be right back with the sanctuary ordinance, and hopefully we can educate people along the way. And I mean, I do have a lot of support. I mean, I get phone calls and emails constantly thanking me for what I'm doing, and there's tons of support out there. It's just, honestly, I should have the signatures by now, but as one guy out there collecting these signatures, it's really hard. I work full-time, and I'm a single dad, so I spend all my spare time, out here fighting for our freedoms, whether it's our Second Amendment rights, our free speech, I mean, anything. I'm a constitutionalist. I believe in the Constitution 100%. I mean, I've even had to deal with the schools, the local schools over here, because during Constitution Week, they gave the students the Bill of Rights on a piece of paper, and it was like an edited version. It was really weird. I've never seen it written like that.
The Orwell version of Bill of Rights, yes.
Yeah, so I was like, this is not okay. I'm not going to allow this. So I donated 500 pocket constitutions to the fifth grade over there, so that each student in the fifth grade could have their own pocket constitution of the real wording,
Right.
And luckily, one of the teachers there, she was very thankful. She's a big-time constitutionalist, and it was really great, and I'll do that again this year. I have no problem spending money to buy constitutions to educate people. With my group that I work with over here, we do some of the parades, and
right.
We don't hand out candy. We hand out pocket constitutions.
That's so cool. Jerrad, I appreciate you coming on. I hope you get some more help out there, and we'll get this recording out there and send it to the everyone in Deschutes County, and hopefully we'll get you some help out there. And I want to thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. And with that, we'll be right back.
Stop in today to the all-new one-stop gun shop, Hole in the Wall Gun Shop in Coos Bay. Your area leader in quality firearms. Hole in the Wall Gun Shop proudly features the top brands of new and used handguns, hunting rifles, black rifles, antique and collectible guns, ammo, mace, and more. Gun cleaning and repair, expert advice, and handgun safety classes for concealed carry permits are offered too. So stop into Hole in the Wall Gun Shop across from Cumion's on Highway 101 South in Coos Bay. We buy, sell, or trade.
The RV business is booming at the Boomin' Y, and Gibbs RV is looking for nice pre-owned RVs to consign or buy. Gibbs RV makes it so simple. They will come to your location, give you a fair appraisal, and help take care of all the paperwork. It doesn't get any easier than that. So let the professionals at Gibbs RV take the hassle out of selling or consigning your RV. Stop by and see them today at 1845 Ocean Boulevard in Coos Bay by the Big Boomin' Y in Empire, or check them out at GibbsRV.com.
In just a fast few minutes from right now, you can have life insurance for up to $500,000 without taking a medical exam and without leaving your home. We're Fast Life, and we're going to make this easy and fast. Odds are that you don't have enough insurance, or you're paying way too much for what you got, or you don't have any, and that's not good. Listen, nobody likes to think about life insurance, but we're grown-ups now, so call and protect your family. 1-800-254-9567, or go to fastlife.life. You've got insurance? That's great, but you may be able to get more coverage and pay less than what you're paying now. And with no medical exam, you can get it right over the phone, and that's fast. Faster than a speeding bullet? No, but fast. And we also said we make it easy. So call and get quotes, then submit an application over the phone, and that's it. And that's easy. Get approved, and coverage starts instantly. And that's fast. Faster than the speed of light? No, but fast. Call 1-800-254-9567 or go to fastlife.life. Fastlife.life. It's revolutionary. It's Fast Life.
If you run your own business, when you're not on the job, you're on the road. In your van. Signs that say detour and do not enter are just plain bad for business. Well, here's a sign that's great for business. It says 0% financing and up to 2 years complimentary scheduled maintenance on Mercedes-Benz Sprinter or Metris vans. Powerful, capable, and affordable. That's Mercedes-Benz Van Power. With pioneering safety technologies and low total cost of ownership, Mercedes-Benz vans are the right choice for your business. Check out the full lineup of Mercedes-Benz vans starting at just $25,995. 0% financing and up to 2 years complimentary scheduled maintenance. That's van power for all. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Starting at price for first or base model Metris worker cargo van. Excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep fee. Please see your dealer or go to mvvans.com for further details and exclusions.
Are your medical bills piling up due to cancer or another serious illness? You are not alone. Many people face this challenge. Here's how Coventry Direct can help. You can receive an immediate cash payment by selling your life insurance policy. If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may be eligible to sell your policy, even a term policy. To find out if you qualify, call Coventry Direct today at 1-800-510-2800 to speak to one of our policy specialists. That's 1-800-510-2800. The cash you receive from selling your policy can be used to help pay medical bills or whatever you choose to give you financial security and peace of mind. Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-510-2800 or visit us at coventrydirect.com. Coventry Direct, giving you the cash you need when you need it most. Coventry Direct is a marketing company and will refer qualified policies to a licensed entity.
For 20 years, the Oregon Firearms Federation has been Oregon's only no-compromise voice for gun rights. While other organizations who claim to speak for gun owners made deals to bargain away your liberty and property, often stood face-to-face with the gun grabbers in Salem to protect your rights. But there's never been a more dangerous time to be a gun owner in Oregon, and we need your help. To become part of the fight for Second Amendment rights and to sign up for free legislative alerts, please visit our website at OregonFirearms.org. That's OregonFirearms.org.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. Thank you for joining me today. We have Tim from Tom and Gigs on the phone. Tim, how you doing?
Good afternoon, Rob.
So what's up, man?
Well, you know, the sun's somewhere, but I wish something was up positive politically, but I don't know. I can't really think of anything, positive, so...
Well, I don't know. That last guy in my first hour of the show, he at the end, it sounded so doom and gloom, but he did kind of leave us with some positive notes at the end there. So
that's good. That's good. I thought all my rights were gone. I woke up today, man, I'm just feeling terrible.
Well, anyone who looked at the laws they're trying to pass, you might think your rights are gone.
Yep. But at least we have some to start with, I guess. So that's a good thing. But you have all the right in the world to come down here. No government's going to stop you from doing that, and by golly, we'll figure out something we can help you with and get your rig fixed up. Or you want to sound good, look good, drive straight, stop good with some new brakes or shocks, do a nice leveling kit on your pickup, and nice looking stainless tip on it or something. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do from air and a lot of stuff too. A lot of people ask, about doing a lot of these things. Some things do void warranty, but the things, if it does, we would obviously tell you. But generally, a lot of times, a high-quality air filter system like S&B, something like that, does not void the warranty, nor does changing a muffler. It has nothing to do with emissions. So those sort of things are all legal schmeagle to do. Doesn't void warranties, doesn't void laws, all that kind of stuff. And generally, it will help them run a little better. And the muffler definitely sounds a little better. Make that Hemi sound like a Hemi instead of like a Prius. So we can do all kinds of good stuff there. And, if you want to, we all know theft is at an all-time high around here because we seem to be a sanctuary city for people that are actually not doing anything for our community other than causing us lots of theft and all those
sanctuary for the criminals, right?
Yeah, it's really getting bad. I'll be honest with you. In Empire, I wish they were all downtown Coos Bay. Maybe the city council will do something finally. I went down to other cities. I don't see all this stuff going on Gold Beach. There ain't no vagrants. There's nobody around. Either you pass through.
Yeah.
Move on down to San Francisco. They'll welcome you fine. They probably have more programs anyway. But I just I have a heart for people, but not when they're destroying my property, breaking into vehicles. I'm done. So I'm going to start sending the city a bill since they're not going to do anything about it, and then they can pay the bill to keep my workers safe, all those sort of things, vehicles safe. Start paying the bills to fix these vehicles that get broke into. It's just ridiculous. But we can solve some of those problems with some different things like tonneau covers that are lockable. If you can't leave anything in the bed of your pickup exposed anymore for more than 5 minutes or it's gone. So if you got chainsaws or any kind of electrical equipment, anything that looks worth stealing, it'll be gone in a heartbeat. I just don't like the stress having to worry about my stuff being stolen every 5 seconds. So a tonneau cover is a real good way to do that in a pickup. We got camera systems, all kinds of different stuff that you can put in your vehicle to monitor it as well. All the cool stuff like winches and headache racks and the lights, LED lights are phenomenal. We got a new setup here from Rough Country, really an awesome setup. Come down and check it out. It mounts in directly in right behind the grills on all these new trucks. Pretty cool stuff. We always trying to find new products out that are reasonably cost and people can afford to do it, and they're actually getting something good for their money. And of course, we install all that stuff, so it's pretty cool. But anyway, you can get a hold of us down here at the shop with either bed liner or a lineman or whatever. The address down here, 135 South Shoneman in Coos Bay. Just go 1 block past the Boom and Rye, right behind the car wash there. And the phone number is 541-888-4660. And hopefully everything will turn out good in the end. You know what I mean?
Well, let's hope so. Do you have a quote for us?
Well, George Orwell has one. He says, "The people will believe what the media tells them they believe."
And they are. I agree with you. I agree with old George Orwell.
It's the people back in the day, they actually had some critical thinking. They actually could think of things. Here today, kids they just have their phone. They do what they're told. They don't have any questions for nobody. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And we got to undoctrinate the doctrinated.
That's true.
Anyway, man, well, I appreciate being on this thing. You keep up the good work. We'll keep listening, and I hope we'll talk to you next week, my friend.
You got it, man. You take care.
You too, buddy. Thank you.
All right. I just want to let everyone know that the City of Bandon sent out their pool survey with the utility bill, and if you are tired of being asked the question by the City of Bandon, because we've already been asked it twice on the ballot, but if you would like to get your survey in, you have until March 22nd, and I recommend that you do that. And when you put under there, I can't tell you what to answer, but I can tell you what I'm going to answer. Not only am I going to write no, I'm going to write hell no and stop asking me the damn question. I'm getting insulted. So please do something about that Bandon pool survey if you're a resident in Bandon and you got one of those utility bills. And by the way, they moved their meeting from last week. Normally they have it on the first Monday of the month, but they moved it from March 4th, which was last Monday, to tomorrow, March 12th. I know that the people who are opposed to the swimming pool are going down there to give the Bandon mayor and city councilors a good tongue lashing, which I believe they deserve as far as I'm concerned. And that's the way you should handle that. And by the way, they're going to be voting on an ordinance in Bandon. They're going to be amending the Bandon Municipal Code to prohibit the intentional feeding of wild turkeys within the city limits. It's funny. I think I'm going to put me a couple of wild turkeys in the backyard, get them all fattened up, and let them all go wild and randy out there breeding like, rats. That sounds like a good way to get back at the city. So just an idea. And to remind everyone that there are open positions for the special districts election for Coos County, and anyone who is a registered voter can sign up. If you want to be a candidate, you should consider running. You have until March 21st to get down to the Coos County Clerk's office and fill out a candidate form so you can run for whatever office that you think that you can do best in. I also want to thank Steve Norlander, who arranged the movie night for conservatives last week. Steve did a great job, and I appreciate everything that he does, and hopefully we'll be pulling another movie night together. I also want to tell you that Gibbs RV, I said that he won Top 50 National Award twice in a row. Actually, I was wrong about that. He did win Top 50 last year, which is an incredible achievement, but he won Best of the South Coast from the World newspaper. All right, Bob, what a great job. And, I got some really incredible sponsors out there. I went over to World Pawn, and I'll tell you, World Pawn is rocking the free world. I was able to collect over 90 signatures from the Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance over at the World Pawn, so they deserve a huge thank you for your efforts. And anyone who wants to sign the Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance, anyone who wants to sign the Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance petition, World Pawn Exchange would be a great place to go, or the Hole in the Wall Gun Shop would be another good place to go, and they both have that petition available for you to sign. And if you want, they have copies. If you take one copy, you can go and get it filled out, and on the back it tells you where you can send it in. So that's what's going on in your community, as there's a lot of people out there trying to help you preserve your Second Amendment rights, and I appreciate that. And by the way, Hole in the Wall, I was over there talking to Kenny, and he has some cannon fuse for sale. That's right, premium cannon fuse now in stock. It has a 24-second per foot burn rate, and it is selling for 50 cents per foot. Cannon and dynamite is not included. Damn. All right, that was just some of the things I thought I'd let you know, and we got a caller on the line. Roger, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, man, what's happening?
I've heard that the Coquille Indian tribe is trying to do this same thing as the Coos Bay Indians are doing on the estuary.
Uh-huh.
And I heard that they were going to head on the Coquille River, try to go as far as they could as taking over whatever.
Well, I haven't heard anything about that, but I do know it's the Confederate tribes, which is the Siuslaw Indians, and the Coos. They're the ones who are trying to put that historical preservation designation on all of the entire bay, which encompasses about 1,600 properties. But I did not hear that the Coquille Indians were also trying to do are they trying to do the same historic designation? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, according to what I heard, something along that line. And like I said, I don't know a lot about it, but that's just kind of what I heard. I just wondered if you knew anything about it. So
no, and if I did, I would say something, and I don't want to say it is happening because I don't know that it is, and It doesn't mean it isn't happening. It just means I don't know. So I wish I had an answer for you, because I do worry that once we give people certain privileges, that they kind of let those privileges go to their head, and then they think they can start claiming, well, everything all around them. And that's my problem with these reservations for Indians. I think they should have been assimilated. They should be Americans like the rest of us and be treated equally just like the rest of us. And the thing is that we can't really be mad at the Indians for this historic preservation designation, because that's a process of government, and it's been created by the federal government, it's been created by the state government, and I would just wish they would get rid of these designations because it destroys property rights.
Okay. I don't know where to go to check on that, but I'd like to find out.
Well, I'll tell you what,
where
Roger.
to go to find something.
I'll tell you what, I'll do a little bit of investigating, and if I find out anything next week, I'll tell you about it on the show, or I'll tell you if I didn't find anything out. And I appreciate you calling, because
okay, thank you.
Anyone else who has any information about something like that going on, please give us a call, and then that way, even if we don't know what's happening, we'll be able to check into it to see if it is happening. And once again, for the second hour, I've got a giveaway. I hope you guys are ready for this. It's for one of my favorite restaurants, the Lucky Star. man, they have some sesame seed chicken that is just to die for. And unfortunately, because I usually only come in on Monday nights, they're closed on Mondays, and I never get that stuff. But if you want to win the house special, all you have to do, let me tell you what this includes. It includes barbecue pork, sweet and sour pork, fried shrimp, spring roll, pork fried rice, and pork chow mein. And if you want to get this meal, all you have to do is to be the third caller at 541-267-2124, and we'll be right back.
The clear leader, Herbal Choices. Join the Herbal Choices happy family for best selection. 100 strains, always fresh. Unlike stores that always have the same old products, there's always something new at Herbal Choices. 100 strains and growing. And check Jim Belushi's new harvest. Just in again and better than ever at Herbal Choices. Coos Bay, Charleston, and Bandon. And online at theherbalchoices.com.
Hey, Jim Belushi here. Herbal Choices on the southern Oregon coast is where you can find my new harvest. Belushi's Private Vault. Check it out.
And reasons are clear. With 100 strains, Herbal Choices sells so much product that everything is always fresh, and there seems to be something new every time I see my Herbal Choices happy family. All our friends agree. The clear winner is Herbal Choices, the only choice.
Check it out. It's the only choice.
Do not operate a vehicle under the influence of marijuana. For use by people 21 and older, keep out of the reach of children.
Looking for a new or used firearm? You should get to know the friendly folks at World Pawn Exchange. Located at 1980 Sherman in downtown North Bend, World Pawn Exchange buys, sells, and trades firearms of all types. And with their extensive, ever-changing inventory, they could have just the right firearm for you. If they don't have that gun that you want in stock, they'll be more than happy to special order it for you. World Pawn Exchange in downtown North Bend, where you'll find more than you can possibly imagine.
Well, I was driving across town when my car got down, started lurching and trying to die. Well, luckily there was a shop, and when it struggled to a stop, a nice fella met me right outside. I said, man, something's wrong. What the heck is going on? He said, I tell you this, I got no doubt. You just relax and don't you worry. We can fix it in a hurry, because your car is what we're all about. We do it all.
Bayshore Auto and RV Repair, your one-stop shop for all your automotive and RV mechanical repairs. Stop by and see Jeff and his friendly staff on Bayshore Drive in Coos Bay.
And now, here's some food for thought from Jim Bice.
I don't think anyone can dispute that America has become a divided country. We're divided politically, racially, ethnically, by gender, by religion, by urban versus rural, and every other conceivable way humans can be pitted against one another. And this is no accident. All these divisions among us have been carefully planned, introduced into our social and political discourse, then widely publicized, exaggerated, and weaponized. Have you ever heard the old adage, divide and conquer? Because of these divisions and the resulting demonstrations, riots, and demands for special considerations because of perceived oppression by the perpetually offended, some pushback is starting to show up in the discussions. On talk radio, internet blogs, and even among the traditional news sources, the subject of a civil war is starting to be discussed more and more. And this is not a healthy situation for our society and our country. After following and analyzing this trend for several months, it seems that the breaking point is gun control. We're already seeing civil disobedience as a form of resistance to burdensome and ineffective new gun control laws in several states. In Maryland, a new law was passed last year limiting ammunition magazine capacity to no more than 10 rounds. All magazines with a capacity of over 10 rounds had to be turned in to the state police. Possession of high-capacity magazines now carries a heavy fine and/or imprisonment. To date, fewer than 100 of these magazines have been turned in statewide. The Maryland law is very similar to the law the criminals in Salem are trying to inflict on us here in Oregon. Based upon laws being proposed and passed in several states, including Oregon, it's consistent that those states with Democrat majorities in their legislatures and Democrat governors are busily working to destroy Second Amendment rights. Those states with Republican majorities in their legislatures and Republican governors are passing laws that ease concealed carry and reduce restrictions on firearms ownership. In Illinois, New Mexico, Washington State, and Oregon, nearly 100 cities and counties have already declared themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries, and more counties and cities in other states are in the process of taking similar action. What should concern everyone is that political and societal division on this one issue could actually flare up into a truly violent uprising, and that would not be good for anyone. That's not the answer. With all the talk of civil war, it's amazing to me that no one seems to realize that this country has been at war with itself for many years. The problem is that the real enemies of America, I'm talking here about the real America based upon individual freedom and rule of law, they cleverly keep themselves hidden behind their front groups like Antifa, Black Lives Matter, the Occupy movement, the various LGBT groups, and now the new Democrat socialists. The real enemies of America are the ruling elitist of all political parties, the corrupt media, the outright communist professors that rule academia, the amoral and politically stupid entertainment industry. These are the people that want to categorize you into a group, determine which rights, if any, you're allowed to exercise, and even determine your standard of living through taxation and regulation. These are the real enemies of the people of America. But we can win this war. That's the greatest thing about this country. When we, the people, finally realize that our leaders and our institutions have become so self-centered, so corrupt, so indifferent to the needs of the people, we can fight back at the ballot box. Over the past few months, the emboldened Democrats and corrupt media have shown themselves for what they really are. And according to polling data, more and more people are starting to realize they've been played for dupes. Finally, the pendulum is starting to swing back towards common sense and making America great again. Just some food for thought.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us again. And I want to thank Jim, the old wise sage, once again, succinctly put it very well. We are at a point, it's a tipping point. I was asked this last week, at what point does the revolution begin? And my advice or my answer was, we're already in a revolution. It's already happening. We just haven't gotten to the point where we're fighting in the streets, but we are fighting, folks. And this show, it may have seemed very heavy on the Second Amendment in the last couple of weeks. It's been very heavy on the Second Amendment, and that is very simple. And there's a simple reason why we're doing this is because we're getting ready to become criminals in this country. I haven't even done anything. And our legislature is going to make me and thousands, tens of thousands of people in this state a criminal overnight. I mean, we were just talking at the first hour about the bump stock ban. That alone is going to make a criminal out of many of us. I mean, most people who own guns wouldn't even own something as ridiculous as a bump stock. It's not something that most gun owners would even consider, at least serious ones. But that's just it. They go after the things that they know we're not going to fight for as viciously as something that's, like the 38 that's in your drawer. But they're coming for the 38s. They're coming for your hunting rifles. And they're coming for every other weapon that you have. And it has nothing to do with the weapons. It has the fact that they want to disarm you. And I go back to the beginning of the show and I'm talking about that sign over there across from 7-Eleven. The very people who say that you don't have to worry because we live in a wonderful society and that you shouldn't be alarmed that people want to disarm you are the same people who are vandalizing our property. And then you have these socialists. Socialism is nothing more than an ideology of force. And to impose their socialist utopia, they have to disarm you. Because some of us aren't going to go very willingly. And they're going to have to take a few of us and either re-educate us or they're going to have to cure us of our disease. You know how communists and socialists cure you of your disease? They put a bullet in your head. Oh, yeah, that's right. They will have the guns. Believe me, just like in Venezuela, the commies, they still have their weapons. They're just telling you that they're going to protect you, so you should give up yours. Well, I'm not ready to give up mine, and I don't think you're ready to give up yours as well. And like the lawyer said in the first of the program, we're no longer going to have the excuse, well, we were out in a canoe and my guns fell overboard. Well, that's just not working, folks. And anyway, we're grown adults. We shouldn't have to do that. We should fight for our rights. And voting isn't enough. That's exactly why over the last several months that I started this show, I've been having people on who are activists. We just talked to Jerrad Robison. He's the chief petitioner in Deschutes County. He's a painter by living. But somehow, some way, he decided that it was his time to take up that challenge, to move out and do something besides just vote by just giving lip service. No, he's actually out there getting signatures. He's getting signatures for something he really cares about, more so than the Republican Party in Deschutes County, and shame on the Republicans in Deschutes County. Thank goodness our Coos County Republicans aren't like those Republicans, because I don't want to judge every Republican by the losers that we have in the party. And we've got some real losers in the party. We need to expunge those people, or we need to put other people in charge, because our party is going down. I'm no longer a Republican, and I'm not a Republican because I don't believe in fiscally conservative values. It's not that I left the party left me, and that's been the case for many people. So I maybe I'm preaching to the choir. I don't know. But there are some things that are going on around the community, and one of them is the historical preservation designation that was mentioned earlier in the show. And if you want to opt out of that, you need to go to downtown Coos Bay at 281 South Broadway. It's a few doors down from that Prefontaine mural, and their hours are between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., and they have notaries sitting there who, if you want, they'll help you fill out the opt-out form, and then they'll notarize it so you can sign it and get that turned in. Or you can go to their website at www.coosconcernedpropertyowners.com, and that's all one word, Coos Concerned Property Owners, and that way they can get you registered as one of the people who are wanting to opt out, and you got to get that to the National Register of Historical Places. And I suggest you get on that if you own property within the Bay Area, and you have till May 10th to get this done. One of the other things that has been going on for a little while, and that is that smart meter. You've all probably heard about the smart meters that the utility companies are using. Not only will these smart meters just send off information about the bill to the utility company, but it will also communicate with your smart machines that are in your house, and that information will also be used and cataloged for a third company to sell that information. Well, House Bill 3174 would eliminate or allow people to opt out of the smart meter bill. So if you are interested, that was sponsored by Representative Gary Leaf and Senator Dallas Hurd, and that's House Bill 3174. And if you all hear that music, you know it's about that time of the show. Man, it was amazing how fast it went. And I hope you all tune in for next week, because we're going to have another incredible guest, and we'll have a few more giveaways. And so until then, Coos County, carry on, okay? You carry on till next week.
Finally, the way talk.